हा हॉल रिकामा करायचा आहे, मॅक्झिमम 10 पर्यंत. त्याच्या आतमध्ये आपलं सगळं प्रेझेंटेशन संपलं पाहिजे. त्याच्यामुळे अप्रॉक्सिमेटली 5 ते 7 मिनिटांमध्ये एका ग्रुपचं प्रेझेंटेशन होणार आहे. सूचना सगळ्या समजल्या. ग्रुप नंबर 1 TYD पासून आपण सुरुवात करूया. TYD ग्रुप नंबर 1 AAS 5 सूरज सुतार अँड अदर्स.
आम्ही TY BCom डिव्हिजन D आणि आमचा विषय ऑडिटिंग स्टँडर्ड 5 निवडला आहे आणि त्यातला ऑडिट एव्हिडन्स हा आमचा विषय. माझं नाव सूरज सुतार. श्रेया वालीकर, साक्षी नवघने, सिमरन शेख आणि राजेश्वरी गोई. आणि जिनी PPT बनवली तिचं नाव संस्कृती, बट ती इमर्जन्सीमुळे येऊ नाही शकली. अश्युरन्स स्टँडर्ड. ऑडिटिंग अँड अश्युरन्स स्टँडर्ड हे याच्यामध्ये म्हणजे ऑफिशियल रूल्स गाईडलाईन क्रायटेरिया असतो जो ऑडिटरला गायडन्स देतो की ज्याच्यामुळं फ्रॉड, इंटरनल कंट्रोल होऊ नये आणि बिझनेसचं नॉलेजसाठी ते बेटर पडतं. ठीक आहे. मग ऑडिटर काय करतो की स्टॉक ऑडिटच्या वेळेस तो फिजिकली तिथे जाऊन ते स्टॉक फिजिकली अवेलेबल आहेत का किंवा ते प्रॉपर मेन्शन केलेत का, त्याच्या नोंदी बरोबर आहेत का किंवा ते प्रॉपर कंडिशनमध्ये आहेत का ते चेक केलं जातं. आणि ज्यामध्ये तो परफॉर्म टेस्ट काउंट करतो, म्हणजे एक रँडमली कुठले पण 50 पीस किंवा कुठलेही पीसेस काढून तो चेक करतो आणि त्याच्या एंट्रीज वगैरे चेक करतो.
Auditors should check if there are any legal cases and claims that affect the accounts. म्हणजे कंपनीमध्ये कोणते लीगल केसेस चालू आहेत का किंवा काही क्लेम्स चालू आहेत का ते प्रॉपरली अकाउंट्समध्ये मेन्शन केले का ते ऑडिटर चेक करतो. परफॉर्मन्स प्रोसिजर्स टू आयडेंटिफाय such cases आणि रिटर्न रिप्रेझेंटेशनमध्ये ऑडिटर आस्क मॅनेजमेंट to give a written confirmation that all legal cases and claims that are
explanatory material inventory. म्हणजे ऑडिटर प्रत्यक्षात उपस्थित राहणं गरजेचं असतं आणि ऑडिटर साठा योग्य पद्धतीत अस्तित्वात आहे की नाही हे तो पाहतो आणि with third party and communication with lawyers. If inventory is held by someone else, auditor may use confirmation letters or other audit procedures. जर कधी कधी कंपनी स्वतःचा स्टॉक दुसऱ्या कंपनीकडे किंवा थर्ड पार्टीकडे स्टोअर करते तर ते ऑडिटर डिरेक्टली जाऊन चेक नाही करू शकत. त्यामुळे तो कन्फर्मेशन लेटर किंवा इतर ज्या ऑडिट पद्धती आहेत त्या यूज करतो. आणि communication with external legal counsel, auditor may directly contact with company's lawyer. ऑडिटर कंपनीच्या लॉयरशी डिरेक्टली कॉन्टॅक्ट करू शकतो हे जाणून घेण्यासाठी की कंपनीवर कोणती लिगल केस चालू आहे का, आणि जर ती लिगल केस चालू असेल तर त्याच्याबद्दलच्या सगळ्या इन्फॉर्मेशन कंपनीने करेक्टली शोन केले आहेत की नाही.
may need to disclose separate financial info for different business segment. म्हणजे एका कंपनीचे 2 व्यवसाय आहेत, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स आणि फर्निचर. तर ते ऑडिटर हे चेक करतो की दोन्ही आर्थिक
लिस्ट करतात का नाही ते चेक करतो. आणि दुसरी गोष्ट की बँक बॅलन्स, कंपनीचा बँक बॅलन्स काय आहे म्हणजे तो बँकेकडून लेटर थ्रू कन्फर्म करतो. आणि डॉक्युमेंटेशनमध्ये तो जे रॉ मटेरियल आहे जेवढे पण त्याच्याकडे स्टॉक जो आहे म्हणजे त्याचं परचेस इनवॉइसेस आहेत का नाही ते प्रॉपर चेक करतो. आणि स्टॉकबद्दल तो ऑब्झर्व करतो की परफेक्टली काउंटिंग झाली आहे का ते, आणि मशिनरीची जी डेप्रिसिएशनची व्हॅल्यू आहे ती प्रॉपर मेन्शन आहे का नाही ती चेक केली जाते.
Next. Good morning, everyone. Today I'll be presenting on auditing and assurance standard 16 going concern, commonly known as AS 16 or SA 570. Next. This standard outlines the auditor's responsibility on regarding the assessment of going concern assumption, that is whether an entity will be is capable of continuing its operation in the foreseeable future. The objectives of AS 16 is to provide guidance to the auditor on how to evaluate the use of going concern assumption while preparing the financial statement. This is a fundamental accounting assumption used while preparing the financial statement. If this assumption does not hold true, the entire basis for preparing the financial statement preparing the financial statement would change. It is the auditor's responsibility to evaluate and ensure that the management's use of going concern assumption while preparing the financial statement is appropriate. This includes reviewing supporting evidences, and if there are any conditions or events that may cast a significant doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. So next. There are several indicators that may raise a doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. These are financial indicators like recurring losses or negative cash flows, operating indicators such as loss of key management person, and legal matters that may cast a significant pending lawsuits or regulatory compliances. Based on the evaluate and ensure whether the management's use of going concern assumption is valid. If there are significant doubts, clear and transparent disclosures shall be made in the financial statement to protect the interest of the stakeholders. Thank you.
Everyone, respective class teachers, I am presenting on teachers on dais. So I am glad to start the audit assurance standards number 8, that is audit planning. So there is a group we will discuss about a brief information about audit assurance standards number 8, audit planning. So come on the introduction point, that is audit planning. In management process, we see that planning is the foremost and first step of all management process. Like that, in audit planning plays an important role. We make it at first stage of an audit. It involves formulation of overall strategies. Ensures audit work is timely, cost-effective, and risk process. It provides a vision or a framework that which details our procedures and are carried out in manner. So next slide, meaning of audit planning. To define or developing audit strategy, for that we have to understand types of business and nature of business what's going on the topics.
My point is the objective of audit planning is to ensure that each and every transaction is recorded in the books of account, and this is the primary objective, and to reflect the profit and loss account in the books of account. To ensure, and the secondary objective is to ensure audit is completed within the time and budget, and to ensure proper supervision in audit staff, and to avoid duplication and unnecessary in audit procedure. And the next point is continued by the Suraj Londe.
So I am going to discuss about importance of planning. First, provides clear direction to the audit team. आपली जी टीम आहे त्यांना आपण काय वर्क करतोय किंवा त्यांना क्लिअर डायरेक्शन असलं पाहिजे, क्लॅरिफिकेशन असलं पाहिजे की आपल्याला काय वर्क डन करायचं. सेकंड पॉईंट, इन्शुरन्स critical areas are not overlooked and helps in reducing audit risks. काय आपल्या ऑडिटमध्ये काही रिस्क आहेत, काय एरर्स आहेत, त्यांना आपण सॉल्व्ह करू आपली जे रिस्क आहे ते कमी करू शकतो. फोर्थ पॉईंट इज इम्प्रूव्ह इफिशियन्सी अँड कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव्हनेस ऑफ ऑडिट. आपली जी इफिशियन्सी आहे अँड कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव्ह आपण
And I am going to discuss about the factors affecting audit planning.
First factor that affects the audit planning is size and complexity of client's operation. This includes the company's organizational structure, volume, and nature of its transaction. Larger or more complex clients typically require more extensive ऑडिट प्रोसिजर प्लॅन. जसं की वेगवेगळ्या कंपनीज असतात, त्यांचं स्ट्रक्चर वेगवेगळं असतं. जर कंपनी ही मोठी असेल, त्यांचं ऑर्गनायझेशन मोठं असेल, तर त्यांचं ट्रान्झॅक्शन हे डीप असतं, मोठं असतं. त्यासाठी वेगवेगळ्या ऑडिट प्लॅनचीही आवश्यकता असते. नेक्स्ट पॉईंट इज नेचर ऑफ बिझनेस. So different industries have different regulations, risk, business procedure that dictates the audit program approach. For example, audit planning for the bank audit is significantly different from the audit for the manufacturing company. Third point is auditors' past experience with clients. Prior knowledge of client, including the identified issues like control deficiency, unadjusted errors, influence planning of audits. An auditor with previous experience has to adjust with the new problems, with the new audit. And next one is availability of skilled staffs and time constraints. This
are being concerns. He has to understand it. So next, second is reviving legal and regulatory framework. So there is some path that auditor have to be provided by company law, tax laws, and some SEBI guidelines. The auditor must have to follow. Second is risk assessment and evaluation of internal control. As per Vaishnavi says that a strong internal controls builds and strong audit planning, and it reduces risk management, risk assessment also. Fourth is determining audit procedures. Determining audit procedure, auditor plays an important role in this procedure. It makes a nature of doing, timing, and its extent. When it's time about timing, auditor must have to understand which period he must be given under audit planning. And last, that is preparation of audit program. Detailed set of audit steps are to be performed. Auditor have to play an important role in this process.
I'm going to present preliminary engagement activities. First is engagement terms, which clarifies responsibilities to engagement letter. So, what is engagement letter? An engagement letter, which is relation between two parties, which means professional firm and its client. This letter provides that.
I am introduced with you today important part of audit planning, documentations in audit planning. The audit planning is the backbone of the audit. Documentations is the process of in the audit planning is the process of all important information, decisions, and procedures related to the audit before and during the audit. It helps auditor remember finding their supports and provide evidence of the audit. Importance of with the proper documentations, and auditor cannot perform the audit. Example of documentations in audit planning. Overall audit strategy, define scopes, timing and directions, communications records with management, audit committee and internal auditors, working papers, evidence.
Hello, my name is Atharva. The next part is conclusion. Audit planning is the foundation of effective audit. म्हणजेच काय की आपण प्रॉपर आणि थरो प्लॅनिंग शिवाय इफेक्टिव्ह ऑडिटिंग होऊ शकत नाही.
Everyone, I am Anam Pathan. Me and my group are going to present AS 4, which states auditors' responsibility to consider error and fraud. Topics to be covered are introduction, types of fraud and errors, auditor's responsibility, detection and reporting, conclusion with example. Now, the objective of AS 4 is to guide auditors on how to identify and evaluate errors and fraud. Now, what do you mean by fraud? Fraud means an mistake done intentionally, and error means an mistake done unintentionally. Now, my friend Runal will explain types of fraud and errors.
Now, I will explain types of fraud. So,
Fraud means intentional misstatement in accounts. So there are three types: misappropriation of asset, misleading of asset. For example, theft of cash, misuse of stock and company's property. Second is fraudulent financial reporting, means manipulation of accounts to hide losses and showing false profit. Third is corruption, means bribery or misuse of authority for personal benefit. So next I will explain types of error. Error there.
So let's talk about the auditor responsibility under AAS 4. The first responsibility is to provide the reasonable assurance, not an absolute guarantee. Means that the auditor have to give the reasonable, means if the auditor check the account carefully, he give a high confidence that the financial statement is reliable. But he can't promise that the statement, that every single detail is perfect. For example, like doctor examine a patient, he assures that the test is perfect, but he can't promise that in future he will not get sick. Similarly, the auditor has to ensure that the statement are free from the mistakes and errors, but he can't promise that in future it will not occur. The second responsibility of the auditor must plan and perform the audit to detect the material mistakes. Means that the auditor should plan. He can't randomly check the audit. He have to plan and process. After that,
That means finding or identifying of problems, issues or unusual events. Reporting means informing the right person or systems about what was detected so that the correct actions will be taken. Detection and reporting is a process of identifying a problem, abnormality or events, and then the communication it to the appropriate person, team or system, so that the corrective actions and measures will be taken. It is a responsibility of an auditor. If any fraud and error is suspected, then he must discuss with the management. Why? To understand the issues better. And there must be a meeting relevant members in the management, for example CFO or finance manager. Next.
Now I will conclude all the slides. In short, first, auditors must always be alert to fraud and error. It is a duty of auditor to be alert to fraud and errors and to detect it. Second, auditors must provide reasonable assurance, not an absolute guarantee. It is not a responsibility of an auditor to give 100% guarantee. He must reasonably assure. Third point, an auditor must apply critical thinking, exercise carefully judgment and examine unusual entries. An auditor must apply his knowledge and not totally depend on and rely on the management. Fourth, transparent reporting ensures trust and fairness. It is a duty or responsibility of an auditor to give transparent reporting. Next slide. Example, if a company shows high sales in their profit and loss account, but most customers haven't even paid yet and many invoices are doubtful, it is responsibility of an auditor to talk with the management, to address it to the management, and and check the bills and invoices if needed. Thank you.
Okay, so before we begin, let me have a warm greeting to our all respected faculties and my dear colleagues. Good morning. This personality in front of you is none other than Ms. Gauri Khatare, currently working as an article assistant in GMKS and Company. So before we begin, let me have you one thing very clear, that instead of having a continuous scene in here, let me just have a few words so that we can sum up it very clearly. Since the word audit documentation itself gives a hint that what are the procedures the auditor is going to perform while documenting, or that is while gathering the audit evidences. It is very important for an auditor to have a proper audit documentation so that he or she or the overall audit group will provide the other members what the other members will include those who are charged with governance, the shareholders, then other general publics. Definition for audit documentation. Since the word documentation itself gives a hint that while performing the audit procedures to examine, in order to provide evidences to all those who are charged with governance, shareholders and other regulatory authorities, the auditor is going to perform the audit procedures to provide the evidences.
I'm gonna explain nature and purposes of audit documentation. Audit documentation is the written record of the auditor's work. ऑडिट डॉक्युमेंटेशन हे रेकॉर्ड असतं ऑडिटरसाठी जे इम्पॉर्टंट असतं की डॉक्युमेंटेशन कसं करायचं आणि गव्हर्नमेंट रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीजना कसं पुढे शो करायचं. इट शोज व्हॉट वॉज डन, वाय इट वॉज डन अँड व्हॉट वॉज फाउंड. सो ऑडिट डॉक्युमेंटेशन का केलं जातं, कशासाठी केलं जातं आणि कोणासाठी केलं जातं हेही ऑडिट डॉक्युमेंटेशनमध्ये शो केलं जातं. इट सर्व एज एव्हिडन्स द प्रॉपर प्रोसिजर्स वे फॉलोड. ऑडिट डॉक्युमेंटेशन ऑडिट प्रोसिजर्स पूर्णपणे फॉलो केल्या आहेत की नाही ते दाखवलं जातं. त्यानंतर इट ॲक्ट्स एज अ मेमरी ऑडिट इफ क्वेश्चन्स अराईज लेटर. ऑडिट डॉक्युमेंटेशन एक मेमरीसारखं काम करतं की जे नंतरनं प्रॉब्लेम्स नाही येणार किंवा ऑडिट डॉक्युमेंटेशनमध्ये काही मॅटर्स अराईज झाले तर ते नंतरनं हेल्प करण्यासाठी मदत करते.
Purpose of documentation of a compliance with is evidence of compliance shows that the auditor followed the rules and procedure required by AS. ह्याच्यामध्ये compliance auditor AS फॉलो करताना सगळे compliance बघतो, डॉक्युमेंटेशन तयार करतो. ह्याच्याबरोबरच सपोर्ट याचं ऑडिट ओपिनियन देताना AS मध्ये डॉक्युमेंटेशनमध्ये सपोर्ट ह्याचा असतो. लीगल प्रोटेक्शन देतो. फर्स्टली ते रिव्ह्यू करतो आणि रिव्ह्यू करताना जर एक्स्टर्नल किंवा सिनियर वगैरे आले त्यांना प्रूफ म्हणून ऑडिट एव्हिडन्स पण देतो.
Documentation. In simple word, audit documentation means the auditor's working papers like त्यांचे बॅलन्स शीट्स वगैरे आणि त्याचे पॉईंट्स. इन सिम्पल वर्ड, ऑडिट डॉक्युमेंटेशन बिलॉंग्स टू द ऑडिटर, नॉट अ क्लायंट, नॉट अ कंपनी और नॉट अ पर्सन. ऑडिट डॉक्युमेंटेशन ही प्रॉपर्टी फक्त ऑडिटरची असते, नॉट अ क्लायंटची, नॉट अ पर्सन और नॉट अ कंपनी. त्याचा क्लायंटवर किंवा पर्सनवर किंवा कंपनीवर कोणताही अधिकार नसतो.
I am here to told about the auditing and insurance of standards of accounting. In short, deals with fundamental aspects and audit engagement. First of all is introduction.
My name is Kavita. My point is objective and scope of the audit of financial statement. According to standards for issued by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, the term journal covers financial statement of profit and loss and other statement and explanatory notes. फायनान्शियल स्टेटमेंटमध्ये जे फ्रॉड आणि एरर्स आहेत ते डिटेक्ट करून ते डिटेक्ट करणे. फायनान्शियल स्टेटमेंट.
Priya, my point is objective of an audit. The objective of an audit of financial statement is to enable an auditor to express an opinion of those financial statement. This process is carried out within the framework of reconciliation accounting policies and practices and any relevant statutory requirement. थोडक्यात ऑडिटचा उद्देश कंपनीच्या आर्थिक स्टेटमेंटची अचूकता आणि निष्पक्षता तपासणे आहे, ज्यामुळे इंडिपेंडंट ऑडिटर आर्थिक स्थितीबद्दल खरे आणि योग्य दृष्टिकोन सादर करतो की नाही यावर व्यावसायिक मत देऊ शकतो.
प्रज्ञा, माय पॉइंट इज रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी फॉर द फायनान्शियल स्टेटमेंट. Will the auditor is responsible for forming and express this opinion on the financial. याचा अर्थ असा आहे की लेखापरीक्षकाची जबाबदारी, लेखापरीक्षेचे काम हे आर्थिक विवरणपत्रांवर आपले मत मांडणे किंवा व्यक्त करणे असे आहे. Next point is state the responsibility for the preparation is that the management of the enterprises.
My point is the scope of an audit. The scope of an audit financial statement will be determined by the auditor
has regards to the earns of the engagement, the requirement of relevant pronouncement of the institute. Thank you.
So, my subject for this presentation is AS 26 Terms of Audit Engagement, which are issued by ICSI with consultation of government body MCA. This is my introduction. My name is Manish Pide. Next. Okay, so let's start with what is audit engagement. It's a formal agreement between auditor and client which specifies scopes, objectives and responsibilities of the audit. म्हणजे ऑडिट करताना ऑडिटरने काय काय चेक करायचं आहे, ते किती एक्सटेंटपर्यंत चेक करायचं आहे, त्याला कुठले हक्क अधिकार आहेत, कुठे कुठे इन्स्पेक्शन करू शकतो, याचं सगळ्याचं इन्फॉर्मेशन ऑडिट एंगेजमेंट लेटर जे असतं त्याच्यामध्ये असतं. नेक्स्ट स्लाइड प्लीज. हे प्रत्येक ऑडिटच्या चेकिंगमध्ये ॲप्लिकेबल असतं आणि एंगेजमेंटमध्ये क्लॅरिटी असेल तर ऑडिटला काम करणं थोडं सोपं जातं. ऑफ एंगेजमेंट टर्म्स, त्यामध्ये कुठलंही मिसअंडरस्टँडिंग होऊ नये यासाठी जे टर्म्स असतात त्यामध्ये रोल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी सगळं डिसाईड केलेलं असतं. हे एक लिगल डॉक्युमेंट आहे जे कोर्टमध्ये एव्हिडन्स सुद्धा वापरू जाऊ शकतं आणि सगळ्या प्रकारचे प्रोफेशनल एथिक्स वापरून ऑडिटरने ऑडिट करायचं असतं जेणेकरून ऑडिट ट्रू अँड फेअर व्ह्यूमध्ये होईल. ऑडिटरने ऑडिट करताना किंवा एंगेजमेंट लेटरचं ॲक्सेप्टन्स करताना क्लिअर, कम्प्लीट आणि अग्री असलं पाहिजे. त्यानंतर हे जे कम्युनिकेशन आहे ते रायटिंगमध्ये असलं पाहिजे. कम्युनिकेशन व्हायला दोन प्रकार असतात, एकतर बाय टेंडर और बाय पर्सन टू पर्सन. टेंडरमध्ये कंपनी एक टेंडर इश्यू करते ज्यामध्ये इंटरेस्टेड ऑडिटिंग फर्म्सने किंवा इंडिव्हिज्युअल ऑडिटर्सने आपलं इन्फॉर्मेशन द्यायचं असतं, ज्यामध्ये दोन प्रकार येतात. देर आर टू इन्व्हॉल्व्स, फायनान्शियल बिड अँड टेक्निकल बिड.
And hello everyone, I am Shruti Parpane and I am Yukta Budare. For our group discussion, we will be discussing about auditing and assurance standards, specifically AS2. This standard deals with objective and scope of audit and audit of the financial statement. So let's get in more detail further. In simple words, auditing is an independent examination of financial records and which avoids misstatements and follows accounting standards, which benefits in creditability and acts as safeguard for investors, regulators and creditors. Did you know the word audit actually comes from a Latin word which is auditory, which means to hear. To hear, yes. In Middle Ages, an auditor was a person basically appointed by an owners or businessman for managing their financial accounts to hear out the explanation whether there is no errors in the financial accounting. In modern definition provided by the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India, it states that auditing is a systematic and independent examination of enterprises' data, records and operations for a stated purpose. The auditor gathers evidences, analyzes it and therefore gives his or her judgment in an audit report. So if that is auditing, what is auditing and assurance standard? These are guidelines provided by official and professional institutions like ICAI, guiding the audit's practices, which makes the statement more accurate, transparent and complete with laws. When it comes to responsibility, the management is responsible to provide accurate information of the financial statement to the auditor. They should also maintain internal control and also check whether the information are free from errors and mistakes and provide the auditor with necessary and required information. Well, and the auditor's responsibilities are: number 1, planning and conducting the audit according to the auditing standards. Secondly, forming independent opinion and objectivity, reporting their findings. Basically, this division ensures both accountability of both sides. Now, let us understand the scope of audit which an auditor must comply with. It involves firstly checking the accounts. The auditor shall ensure that the company has fulfilled with all the basic needs, that is, he should check the balance sheet and P&L account whether there is any mistake or not or errors. Secondly, ensuring trustworthy information. Thirdly, following the rules. The
auditor shall ensure that the company had followed with all the rules and regulations given under the Companies Act as a guiding source. So by focusing on true and fair view, it strengthens confidence and in the entire business system. So it can be truly said that auditing is the backbone of financial integrity. Thank you.
Everyone, my name is Vedant Goe, and my friend, there are two friends. My one friend name is Atharva, and one Akshay. Second back. So basically, I am from D division. Atharva is from A division, and Akshay from B division. So today we are going to present Audit Assurance Standard 23, which is basically based on related party disclosure.
And myself Akshay Bhutkar. I will be telling you about the types of related parties. Related parties are individuals, owners, directors, relatives, enterprises, subsidiaries. All these parties which are related to the financial entity or the company can have transactions with which are in adverse of the members' opinion.
Here are some case examples. As a parent company lending to subsidiary at a concessional interest. In this, we have to disclose nature of relationship, amount and terms of loan and balance outstanding. For stakeholders such as investors, auditors, regulators and banks, it is very important AS, so everyone should follow this.
I go directly from this third slide. I will share who are going to cover the topics. Meaning and objectives of going concern is to be covered by Ayan. Responsibility of management and auditor by Harsh. Risk assessment and initial audit procedure by Sania. Various indicators going concern by me. Additional audit procedure and management plan.
One and all. Going concern is one of the fundamental accounting assumptions. The enterprise is normally viewed as going concern. That is a continuing this operation for foreseeable future.
So the management responsibility, the first responsibility of management is to make ensure that the assessment period shall be of minimum 12 months.
Scope and objective as well as the responsibility of auditor and management. We also need to understand the audit procedures to be carried out by the auditor. The auditor needs to obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidences that the assumption of management regarding the assessment that the entity will continue as a going concern is valid and eligible. For that, the auditor should consider the management.
Concern indicators are signs or signals that signifies the company may or may not run in the foreseeable future. There are various kinds of going concern indicators. They are financial trends, then it includes the.
If the auditor is not able to identify as the going concern from the initial audit procedures mentioned by Sania, he should perform the additional audit procedures which are cash flow analysis, debt analysis and the management review. The main point in this slide is minutes review, which includes where the management has not performed any procedures on the going concern, he should perform.
The final conclusion, the auditor shall evaluate whether sufficient appropriate audit evidence has been obtained regarding and shall conclude on the appropriateness of management's use of going concern of accounting in the preparation of financial statements. Based on the audit evidence obtained, the auditor shall conclude whether
ऑडिटर आणि अनसर्टनिटी त्याचा प्रत्यय आजच्या ग्रुप डिस्कशन मध्ये आला. मी मागच्या 1-1.5 महिन्यापासून तुम्हाला नावं मागतोय. कुणाला ग्रुप डिस्कशन करायचंय तोपर्यंत इतक्या बॅटऱ्या डिस्चार्ज झाल्या होत्या तुमच्याकडे नावं द्यायला वेळ नव्हता. आणि आता एवढा रेस्पॉन्स चांगला आहे की आमच्याकडे वेळ नाही तुमचं ग्रुप डिस्कशन घेण्यासाठी. एक छोटंसं उदाहरण सांगतो. तुमच्या वयाचं लग्न ठरलं एका मुलाचं. त्याने गावामध्ये विचारलं कोण कोण लग्नाला नाही येणार. लग्न फार लांब होतं वरात निघालं लंडनला सारखं. आणि मग एवढं लांब कोण येणार म्हणून कुणीच आलं नाही. त्याने एकच गाडी केली आणि लग्नाच्या दिवशी अख्खा गाव बाहेर आला गाडी जवळ. आता नवरीकडे बोलवायची का लग्नाला जायचं हा प्रश्न निर्माण झाला. तसा आमच्याकडे प्रश्न निर्माण झाला कुणाचं ग्रुप डिस्कशन घ्यायचं आणि कुणाचं नाही घ्यायचं. तर आपण आता ते एक्झाम आहे सगळ्यांना सुपरविजन आहे. आम्ही एंगेज होणार आहोत लगेच. तर आपण इथं थांबूयात आणि उद्या सकाळी 8:30 वाजता मी ग्रुपवर सूचना टाकतोय, राहिलेल्या मुलांचं ग्रुप डिस्कशन होईल. धन्यवाद.